This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Len Cannon. Testimony set to begin this week in the trial of former Uvalde school police officer Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez faces 29 criminal charges tied to his response during the Robb Elementary School shooting in May of 2022. 19 students and 2 teachers were killed. Prosecutors accuse him of endangering or abandoning a child, making him the first Texas law enforcement officer charged under that statute in connection with the attack. Jury selection began on Monday in Corpus Christi, where the trial will be held. Attorneys worked through a pool of roughly 450 jurors, each completing this 2-page questionnaire to determine whether they could serve fairly in the case. At one point, about 150 potential jurors were dismissed, telling the court they could not be unbiased. Some of them explaining their reasoning in their own words. Look at this. One juror saying, quote, "They were only protecting themselves," referring to the officer, "more than they were protecting the children." Another juror telling the court, "My wife is a school teacher. I would have wanted them to protect her. I cannot be fair." Then another juror said, "I'm a teacher. I could have been the one waiting for help. Cops did nothing. That makes me biased." A judge estimates this trial will last about 2 weeks. We'll follow this case closely with our team and reporters from our sister stations, tracking developments throughout the proceedings. You can also watch gavel-to-gavel coverage on our free streaming app. Now to an update on a story we've been covering for weeks: the disappearance of a Texas A&M grad, 24-year-old Sydney Marquez. Last Friday, the young woman was found. Here is surveillance video. It shows Jersey Village police speaking to Marquez and then releasing her at her own request. Officials tell us they did not have the legal criteria for an emergency detention, so she was let go before her family could arrive. Now her family tells us they have reconnected with her. That happened Sunday night, and she's getting the help she needs. She'd gone missing for 3 weeks after visiting friends in Houston. Houstonians reacting to the capture of former Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Over the weekend, some took to the streets protesting the military operation, while others expressed hope this capture could bring positive change to Venezuela. Troy Kless with the story.
In the crowd at the corner of Post Oak and Westheimer, there are several voices, like Elizabeth Peters.
I feel really strongly about how there should be no more U.S. interference in Venezuela.
Maria, a woman who moved to Houston from Venezuela at 9 years old, thinking of her family.
We just got a call from my uncle, and he said, there are some parts of Caracas that don't have power right now.
She says with Nicolas Maduro currently in custody, she has a new sense of hope, though there is uncertainty.
A lot of people that are really hopeful, but they're also really scared to share that hope in the streets.
On the streets of Houston, protest organizers believe the U.S. involvement in Venezuela will have economic and political consequences.
We feel that if Trump has the power to just kidnap a head of state and bring him back to a foreign country, what does that mean for the rest of us?
The same day of the protest against Maduro's capture, in Katy, home to one of the country's largest Venezuelan communities, they feel differently.
You have Venezuelans all around the world that are celebrating Nicolas Maduro's capture. I mean, how do you kind of balance and react to that?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that just like in the United States, we have diverse opinions. Large portion of the population did support him, and those are the voices that we never hear in the media. So obviously we think we should represent all voices, but in particular those who support Maduro are always lost.
No new wars! Back in Houston, people like Maria hoping to inform others of her perspective.
I understand people that are only American, and they say, I don't want the U.S., involved in other countries. And I understand that, but as somebody who is Venezuelan, I think it's more nuanced than that.
But to Peters, things seem clear-cut.
It is amazing for the Venezuelan people to no longer be under the Maduro regime. It is insane that we thought that, or that Trump thought that we are the people who have to go in and do that.
Peters hoping for a resolution that allows for a democracy fair for Venezuela's people. In the Galleria, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
A Fort Bend County card shop trying to recover after thieves made off with high-value Pokemon cards. Look at the surveillance video showing several suspects clearing shelves of some of the most sought-after cars, which have become a growing target for thieves. The owners of SJ Cars reached out to us to help identify these suspects who may have already tried to sell the stolen merchandise. Jason Miles with the story.
This store just celebrated its grand opening before Christmas and never expected such a disappointing start to the new year. 2 days after a duo ransacked SJ Cars near Richmond, stealing mostly Pokemon-related items, the owners hope investigators catch them all.
They actually cut through the wall, made it like a big square, got through.
You can see where the suspects broke through the shared wall of a vacant neighboring space in order to access the store. Before breaking into various displays where the popular Pokemon cards are kept in locked cases. This guy repeatedly struck one of them with a chair.
Going into this business, we already knew that people do steal from card shops. So that's why we did try to prepare for things like entry through the front, entry through the back, but we never would have imagined how they entered.
This clip shows the suspects attempting to get out through the rear door before going back the way they got in, despite an interior door having locked behind them.
Kicked it once, no, kicked it twice, went through, and they were gone.
This is just the latest in a number of card theft stories we've covered, like this one in Cyprus, something that's been an issue nationwide, thanks in part to a rapidly growing resale market and difficulties tracing cards. But in this case, the victims believe some of the cards showed up at a big card show this weekend, and authorities tell me they are actively investigating.
A lot of people work hard, to own stores, start businesses, so that's something very unfortunate that had to happen to us.
In addition to security measures already in place, the store has now decided to hire an armed guard to keep an eye on things overnight. Near Richmond, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. U.S. military members injured in the effort to capture Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela are now at Brooke Army Medical Center for treatment. Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones expressed support for their recovery. Sue Kalberg has more about what we're learning from BAMC.
As soon as President Trump said American service members were injured in Venezuela on Saturday, many of us started watching the sky because we know that when people need first-class medical care, they come here to San Antonio and Brooke Army Medical Center.
I have not heard exact numbers or exact conditions of those folks, but of course we keep those folks in our prayers.
Remembering her own military service.
Again, I saw that firsthand given my time as the Undersecretary of the Air Force.
The mayor said she had a front row seat in the region.
Venezuela is also special to me. When I separated from the Air Force, my first job was working at U.S. Army South.
She says she remains hopeful that the U.S. will act carefully to protect the Americans who are putting their lives on the line.
There's always a cost, potentially, and so you always want to make sure that it's clear what you're doing, why you're accomplishing it, because someone's got to cash that check.
We also reached out to the Pentagon for comment about the number of people who are receiving treatment and their outlook. If we get more information about that, we'll share it. At Brooke Army Medical Center, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
Police are looking for a man accused of shooting 3 people in a drive-by on the south side. This happened at a convenience store on Roosevelt Avenue. Earl Stoudemire has a story.
San Antonio police say 3 people were entering the Triplets Food Mart right behind me on Roosevelt when a man in a Mercedes drove by, opening fire. Police tell us 1 woman was shot in the back. She's in the hospital and is stable. Police say the other man and woman hit in this drive-by are also getting treated at the hospital, but no details on their conditions at this time. Police say the shooter was in a 4-door Mercedes, and that's the only description of the car right now. Workers at the Triplets Food Mart didn't want to speak on camera, but spent hours cleaning broken glass from the shooting. If you know anything about this situation, please call SAPD. From the south side, Earl Stoudemire, KENS 5.
Deputies say a vehicle fire led to a shocking animal cruelty scene with dozens of animals rescued. Simone Simpson has more on what investigators found.
For us, it's not just about the animal cruelty case. I mean, that's bad enough as it is in and of itself, but usually that leads out to other sorts of crime.
On January 1st, deputies responded to a car fire on the 600 block of Cairo Drive, and that's when they say they found a severely malnourished dog chained to a fence. During the investigation, the sheriff says they found 3 malnourished dogs and more than 60 chickens and roosters being kept in cages without proper food, water, or shelter. The property owner said Andra Mathis worked there and owned the chickens but not the dogs. Mathis denied living there and only admitted owning some of the poultry.
Investigators say they found evidence that Mathis had previously strangled a dog and encouraged roosters to fight, including videos and multiple past 311 reports.
During a walkthrough of the property, deputies say they located 1 dead bird and another with injuries consistent with cockfighting. Deputies later arrested him on 3 counts of animal cruelty.
Our Animal Crimes Enforcement Unit, our ACE team, is doing just that. They're doing the background work to see if we can, in fact, put together a case and later on charge with that for the cockfighting.
BCSO says animal control took custody of all the animals involved for safekeeping. Reporting from Atkins, Simone Simpson, KENS 5.
A rollover involving an 18-wheeler shut down part of Loop 410 on Monday, bringing traffic to a crawl. The driver of the big rig was sent to the emergency room. The cause is under investigation. Meredith Haas has the story.
Well, this was a major rollover, so I want you to take a look at that 18-wheeler off Southeast Loop 410. It looks like that windshield got blown out, along with heavy damage to the trailer portion of this tractor trailer. Now, if we take a look further, you're going to see that the guardrail looks like it's been completely damaged for a major portion of it.
But the driver of that truck, who we're told was alone in the semi, is expected to be okay. Witnesses told police they saw the driver swerving before hitting the guardrail and flipping. The 18-wheeler was hauling clothing, and no other cars were involved in the crash. Traffic was backed up for a time, but after a few hours, officials were able to get the truck out of the way. Investigators are still working to determine what caused the driver to lose control.
We'll bring you the very latest on air and online at KENS5.com. Reporting on the southeast side, Meredith Haas, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm WFAA Chief Meteorologist Pete Delka. So here are our Texas headlines as we head through the day tomorrow. Sunny and warm across the entire state of Texas. On Wednesday, it'll still be very warm. Some locations will have near record high temperatures. A little bit of light rain well to the west. Okay, so West Texas will pick that up, and that's mainly late on Wednesday, especially into Wednesday night. And right now, there's no severe weather in the forecast. And then some light rain showers along the Red River on Thursday. So here's how it will break down across the state, and you could see anywhere from Amarillo down to Austin to Corpus, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, El Paso, Houston, Lubbock, San Antonio, Waco. Highs vary, of course, across the great state of Texas. 60s into the lower to middle 80s in a few spots. Austin and Corpus have highs on Tuesday in the middle 80s, and we're looking at 82 in Houston, 83 in San Antonio, 82 in Waco, and as cool as 65 up in Amarillo. Amarillo, you warm up on Wednesday to 70, 62, so cooler weather on Thursday in Amarillo. Austin, 84 tomorrow, 81 on Wednesday, 80 on Thursday. Corpus, 84. Stay in the mid to low 80s over the next 3 days in Corpus. Dallas-Fort Worth stays in the mid to upper 70s Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. El Paso, comfortable with maybe a little rain shower on Wednesday. Other than that, 60s for the next 3 days. Houston will be in the 80s for the next several days, so some really nice weather in that location. Lubbock, we're looking at 73 and 74 on Tuesday and Wednesday. Some wind on Thursday, not surprising, out in West Texas, 69 degrees on Thursday. San Antonio stays in the lower 80s over the next 3 days. And Waco, low 80s tomorrow, and then upper 70s the couple of days that follow that on Wednesday and Thursday. Look at these high temperatures tomorrow. Again, pretty Nice little variance across the state, anywhere from to the north, up in Amarillo's 60 degrees, down in the Big Bend is 70, Brownsville's 81. There's that 81 in Corpus, 80 in San Antonio, 80 in Houston tomorrow, 81 in Austin, up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 74, Texarkana, 75, and Shreveport, 78. Now here's the story. As we head through tonight, had a little bit of cloud cover around, so a lot of locations, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, down to Austin, San Antonio, Corpus will have a lot of cloud cover as we head through the night tonight and then during the day tomorrow. Watch the skies start to clear up here in North Texas and across a lot of the state. Coastal areas of Texas will stay socked in with the cloud cover tomorrow, but the rest of the state should have lots of sunshine as we head through the day on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we cloud right back up. Here's Wednesday morning. It's 7 o'clock. You can see a lot of clouds around except for South Texas. South Texas sees some sunshine on Wednesday. Wednesday night, this is our next weather maker. Some snow in the higher elevations across parts of the southern portion of New Mexico, and then of course some rain in the lower elevations. And we're looking at all rain here across the state of Texas. And unfortunately, it's really light rain. We are in desperate need of some rain. Drought conditions returning to a large part of the state, but for those locations that aren't already in a drought, but the rain that we pick up over the next 36 hours, once this system starts to move in late Wednesday into the day on Thursday and then ending Thursday night. I mean, if you're lucky enough, you'll have a little thunderstorm that'll drop a decent amount of rain. Otherwise, let me step out of the way here. Otherwise, any rain that's picked up, if you pick up any at all, it's going to be light, a tenth, maybe a quarter of an inch up here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Wichita Falls could pick up some scattered showers Wednesday night into Thursday morning, maybe a rumble or two of thunder, but right now no severe weather in the forecast across the state. This is Thursday. A lot of cloud cover on Thursday, and a big chunk of the state keeps the clouds around during the day Thursday and the first part of the day on Friday, and then another round of rain is possible as we head through Friday, especially the afternoon from Waco to Austin, down to San Antonio, on into East Texas. Could see some showers and some thunderstorms as we head through Friday. So the forecast for the next several days, the next 3 days to the west, El Paso, Lubbock, and Midland. Temperatures do vary over the next several days. And then in the central part of the state, Austin, Waco, Fredericksburg, you pick your spot, you pick your day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Weather looks pretty nice in central Texas. I know it's a lot warmer than it should be for this time of year, but I mean, 70s and 80s. Now, we don't want the fire threat, obviously, but certainly these temperatures in the 70s, they've been pretty comfortable compared to winters past when we've had some pretty nasty weather. South Texas, temps stay anywhere, San Antonio, Corpus down to Laredo. Temps will stay in the 80s, and I don't have any rain in my forecast in those locations. Up to the north, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Weatherford, Denton. Temperatures the next 3 days do stay in the 70s, and then to the east, Houston, Beaumont, and Tyler. Temperatures 70s and 80s over the next couple of days. There could be a couple showers, but that won't happen until the end of the week. That's the latest from WFAA. I'm Chief Meteorologist Pete Delkus.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories from North Texas. A huge shakeup for downtown Dallas and a major suburb. AT&T is moving its headquarters to Plano, the latest company to relocate there from Cinemark to Toyota, PepsiCo, and Bank of America. Dallas City leaders tell Tiffany Liu they're worried about what it means for the future.
They're a good corporate neighbor to have in downtown.
For nearly 2 decades, AT&T has been a staple in downtown Dallas.
We wanted them to stay in downtown.
But in a few years, the 37-story Whitaker Tower will no longer be their home.
They moved from San Antonio 17 years ago to come to downtown Dallas. At the time, they thought that was the best decision for the corporation. Now, a different CEO has made a different decision.
The telecommunications giant announced it is moving headquarters to Plano's Legacy Drive. AT&T wrote to employees this will cost-effectively consolidate all DFW Metroplex administrative spaces, including their 3 largest locations in central Dallas, Plano, and Irving.
This was an internal business decision rather than about conditions in downtown.
In a study commissioned by Downtown Dallas, Inc., it estimated the AT&T relocation could cause a 30% decrease in property values. The study shows there would be cascading effects on rental, retail, and other corporate exits.
Well, I think there's speculation.
AT&T currently sits in Dallas Councilman Paul Ridley's district. He says some of these concerns are overblown.
We're not dependent upon a single employer as a result of our diverse economy.
A UT Dallas professor and former city manager Ted Benavides agrees Dallas will still thrive.
If you're in economic development or planning, you got to be ready for these shots.
While one major company is leaving, city leaders emphasize the future convention center, plus more investment in Dallas College and the Bank of America Center. Goldman Sachs and other financial service companies are also moving in for the growth of Y'all Street.
It also probably gives you opportunities that you didn't have because AT&T was here. So, you have to go look at the bright side and say, okay, what opportunities do we have now that we didn't have before?
By the second half of 2028, AT&T's move to Plano will begin, and the future of downtown Dallas will pivot. In Dallas, I'm Tiffany Liu.
A butcher in Waxahachie has gone up in flames after just 3 months in business. A charred frame is all that's left of the blind pig, but neighbors tell Brittany Moncrief there's more to this story than meets the eye.
It didn't take long for speculation to settle on Water Street. Because 4:30 Monday morning,
got woken up by the Waxahachie Police Department.
Kayla Peppers and her family had to act quickly.
And I got my kids and everyone, and we ran out here, and it was just like engulfed in flames.
Kayla snapping these photos and another resident sharing this video from a distance of the building next door.
The flames were already like to that tree. Very scared. I thought our house was gonna catch on fire too, but it didn't.
This is the Blind Pig Butchery, which officially opened back in October. The owners, who didn't want to speak on camera, tell us they bought the property back in 2023, which took over 2 years to fix up. And while ashes remain, the whispers on Water Street linger.
Probably one of the most haunted areas in Waxahachie for some reason.
See, the Blind Pig used to be the site of the Catfish Plantation, which Kayla says caught fire in 2003.
It's supposed to be one of the most haunted restaurants in Texas.
A quick YouTube search shows dozens of videos about paranormal activity and ghosts.
A lot of people say that if you're a woman and you're eating there, they would like to grab your hair.
And living next door,
I've heard my name before whenever it was just me and my children were at school. It's probably one of the craziest things that's happened, wow. Other than our doors being open. But
your doors will open sometimes too?
Yeah.
While some believe ghosts are to blame, the owners say they're still working to learn what caused this fire.
I'm just glad nobody was hurt or anything.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can rebuild it though.
Looking ahead, despite the mystery that stays. In Waxahachie, I'm Brittany Moncrief.
Dozens of people showed up to discuss the rainbow-colored steps of a historic church in Oaklawn. As Luke Clary reports, there was debate over whether it violates Dallas City Code.
These steps are meant to send a message.
Who you are is beloved. You are seen and you are loved.
Reverend Rachel Griffin Allison says members of the Oaklawn United Methodist Church see them as a source of neighborhood pride. But there was a problem. They applied the paint before applying for approval from the Dallas Landmark Commission, which has oversight on historic buildings like this one.
We felt like our time called for something more urgent, and so we did this knowing that we needed to seek this approval.
Calling this a temporary art installation,
those steps are where I got married to my husband.
Church members came before the commission to make their case.
Rainbow steps shouldn't be controversial. It's just paint, y'all.
And we really, really, really hope you'll approve this.
The October paint job was a response to Governor Abbott's mandate that cities remove painted crosswalks. He called them a distraction.
We can't necessarily get our crosswalks back because of the state of Texas.
In the Reverend's view, it was about more than traffic.
Silence is not neutral. We have to choose to make a statement because this moment calls for it.
The outcome of the hearing was uncertain. City staff had recommended approval. A task force recommended denial, citing city code.
If you don't like rainbow steps on your church, then go to one of the 500 churches that don't have them.
But public comment was unanimous. And in the end, so was the commission. A unanimous vote approving the temporary art installation for 3 years. In Dallas, I'm Luke Clary.
Nicolas Maduro made his first appearance in an American courtroom today and pleaded not guilty to narco-terrorism. As Brittany Costello reports, while some Venezuelans in North Texas believe his arrest will lead to positive change, others are worried about the future.
And arepa is one of their more important dishes.
Code 58 serves Venezuelan food in Highland Village.
La arepa. Acá.
But tonight, owner Fernando Cepeda is making his famous arepas with something else on his mind. Customer Mayela Garcia Parra helped us translate. Cepeda says he grew up in Venezuela and 5 years ago moved to the United States for a better life.
He said because of the political situation that had been happening.
He calls the capture of Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro necessary.
The country needs order and respect and to hopefully go back to how it was.
That could take time, something that worries president of LULAC 100 in Dallas, Rene Martinez.
Sure, Maduro has been removed, but the joy is it's a mixed joy in terms of what happens with the stability of that country.
LULAC is one of the oldest Latino civil rights organizations in the nation. For the last year, Martinez has been working with Venezuelan refugees, many of whom are worried about what this conflict means for them.
Martinez is asking the federal government to pause immigration action on Venezuelan refugees he says are here legally. Some are willing to go back with a regime change, but right now he says there's too much uncertainty.
But they know that there's a food crisis, and they're afraid that there's going to be more violence and more war.
Cepeda hopes for a better future for his home country.
There's a lot of work to do.
A future that allows him to go back home.
When that government stops being there, that he will go back and be in Venezuela.
In Tarrant County, I'm Brittany Costello.
And we'll keep checking in with the community as this situation plays out. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Lindsay Littman. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. Scammers across the United States are using the faces of famous country music stars to target fans online. A Troy man is sharing his story and calling for change. Juliana Jackson shows us how these scams work and its impact on people.
My family didn't know that I was kept a secret for a while, that I've been scammed off and on since 2020, like Cody Johnson.
36-year-old Anthony McIlvaine, who has an intellectual and developmental disability, says people pretending to be celebrities like Cody Johnson and Chris Young reached out to him on social media.
When I started talking to them, they would ask my age, they would ask for my social security information, my disability.
Before his family discovered what was happening, McIlvaine lost his money. We're trying to call the number has been messaging him and calling him on the WhatsApp. And as you can see right here, you can see the photo of Cody Johnson.
And I know for a fact it wasn't him.
Cody Johnson's official team has issued a scam alert, warning fans the real country star will never ask for money or personal information through private messages. McIlvaine's family now helps monitor his messages and block suspicious accounts.
Family has helped me now that if something doesn't seem right, my mom just goes and blocks it.
But McIlvaine says more needs to be done.
To pass a law for people with IDD and autism, for adults over the age of 30 to have protection with Facebook and Instagram.
He shares advice for other adults who find themselves in the same position he was in.
To make sure that who they're talking to make sure they're not asking too much information. Just instantly do me a favor, block the information as possible.
Great advice for everybody. That was Juliana Jackson reporting. From Waco to Hollywood to local filmmakers, short film is generating Oscar buzz. The short film made the Academy Awards short list. Sydney Walker has more from the film's director and editor about representing Waco on a global stage.
From the silos to the stars.
Just the specter of being able to represent Baylor, Waco, Texas at the Oscars is very, very meaningful.
Sam Henderson directed, co-wrote, and co-produced the short film Adieu. He also teaches at Baylor.
Our department was generous enough to help us from a financial standpoint.
Along with a friend and fellow Baylor professor.
It's ended up being one of the most rewarding processes I've been a part of. We became better friends.
Maverick Moore is a close friend of Henderson. He edited Adieu.
Maverick trackpad his way through this possibly Oscar-nominated short film.
The two are Texas filmmakers through and through.
We intended to make the film in Texas, but because of our lead actress, Jennifer Lewis, we ended up making the film in Los Angeles.
Lewis plays a middle school drama teacher, putting on a production of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing.
She loved what it was about. She saw herself in it. She even more so saw herself being a part of what she views as the advocacy of the film.
Henderson was inspired by a conversation he had with his mother, a longtime teacher, about school shootings.
She felt like if she ever came face to face with the school shooter, the best chance she'd ever have would be if the shooter knew her or remembered her.
Highlighting a new reality that the Oscar voters recognized.
Just speechless.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting kind of emotional just thinking about it.
15 live-action short films out of 207 that qualified made the cut before the final nominations.
I was in an IHOP when the short list came out, and I made a audible yelp looking at my phone.
A dream come true for all involved.
We would not just be bringing ourselves, we would be bringing Texas with us. We would be bringing Baylor with us.
Oscar nominations will be announced on the morning of January 22nd. And of course, we'll be watching to see if Ado makes the final cut. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. If you noticed or smelled crawfish season boiling up earlier, you're not imagining it. CBS 19's Robert De La Garza shows us how one East Texas business says this year is getting underway ahead of schedule and could shape how the season unfolds.
Whether you call them crayfish, crawfish, or mudbugs and crawdads, we can all agree they're everyone's favorite seasonal crustacean. But trying to predict the outlook of a crawfish season can be a lot like trying to guess the winning Powerball numbers.
It's always been a roller coaster ride, I almost say, in the crawfish world. Sometimes you have great years, but it's like everything else, you know, they're live creatures.
Owners Heather Goddell and Travis Vaughn at Crawfish Cove in Longview may not have the winning numbers, but this year's luck appears to be on their side.
We started early this year, and we try to get the crawfish as soon as we can. I want to say they started coming in around really late November.
A season that typically runs from mid-January through June is now starting earlier and likely sticking around longer.
But we will go all the way to the middle of June, and I think they went to the end of July last year.
Goddell has been in the industry for over 20 years. One thing she credits is the seasonably warm weather.
Well, you want the weather to be warm, but you also want them cold fronts to come through, and gives them their cycle, which, you know, the more cycles they have, the bigger they get.
And with good conditions come quantity and quality, because no one wants their bugs to come shrimp-sized. But the one thing that could slow down your craving, a shortage of immigrant workers.
You know, there's going to be an impact.
An impact that's rippling through the industry, affecting farmers, workers, and consumers.
There's a financial impact for the farmers, which is a trickle effect. It comes down to us, then goes down to the consumer.
Right now, prices have stabilized around $11 a pound, which owners expect to ease once the season hits its peak.
It was $14 a pound when we first started out getting it, and this year it's sitting at around 11, but it'll be going down here pretty soon.
They can't predict prices.
That's all we can do, fingers crossed.
But they can share their hopes for what the season lies ahead.
I mean,
just like any farm.
I mean, it's just like the Cowboys. We're going to have a good year hopefully this year, you know, so hopefully we'll have a good year.
But one thing is certain. As long as the pots are boiling, crawfish season is still a gamble worth taking. For CBS 19, I'm Robert De La Garza.
It's a new year and many East Texans are ready to start working on their resolutions, and at the top of a lot of lists is getting fit. Our Alan Casper visited a local gym to get advice on how to stay committed to reaching this heavy goal.
It is our biggest season in the fitness industry. Everyone wants to do the new year, new me. They want to come in and they want to get fit, get healthy, and they kind of flock into the gym.
The vast majority of new gym goers across the country have stopped coming within 6 months of the day they walked into the gym for the first time.
One of the biggest reasons that they don't make it is they'll do the wrong workout, they'll do something they saw online, or they won't include nutrition in their workout plan.
Benjamin Franklin said those who fail to plan are planning to fail. I think the most important thing you need to do is have a plan and have a reasonable plan. I like to say 90% of your results are going to be based on what your diet looks like. And then we also focus on exercise, of course. And you need to have a reasonable expectation of how much exercise you can do. If you're not a hardened athlete, you shouldn't start out like you're a hardened athlete. You should start by increasing your daily activity slightly, doing short cardios, doing extremely lightweight exercises until you're stronger and ready to tackle the next thing.
I actually have a myriad of chronic illnesses, and one of the recommendations of my doctor was get into the gym, kind of start a regular exercise program, and I didn't know where to start.
All right, let's see it, Alicia.
So then I met with Brett, my personal trainer, and I mean, he started me just from the very beginning. He met me right where I was at.
When we first started, we couldn't work out very intensely. I can't even remember how long we worked out before we even started working with any kind of challenging weight, because it wasn't what she was ready for. But she was willing to tackle whatever she was capable of. The only way you'd never get to your goals is if you give up.
If you rely on motivation, like you're just not going to keep with something.
1 1,000, 2 1,000 up.
Because motivation comes, motivation goes. But I just had to force myself to rely on discipline. Like even if I didn't feel like showing up, if I got here and I made the effort to come, I was there and I did my workout and I felt fantastic afterward.
Today she's running 5Ks, she's doing our hit zone classes here at the gym, which are really, really intense. And I've got her lifting a crazy amount of weight now because of the growth that she's seen.
And that's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
In Austin, I'm Quita Culpepper, and we're learning new details in the deadly shooting of an off-duty Caldwell County deputy constable in North Austin. Aaron Armstrong was shot early Sunday morning while working security at Club Rodeo on North Lamar Boulevard. Reporter Brianna Perez has more about that investigation.
When one of our own is taken, the weight of that loss is felt across the entire law enforcement community. But I want you to know that you are not walking this alone.
Law enforcement community reeling after the death of a Caldwell County deputy constable over the weekend.
It's a very hard day, and we're all absolutely heartbroken over the loss of our deputy, Aaron Armstrong.
Early Sunday morning, police say Armstrong was working security at Club Rodeo, where he'd worked for years. After a fight, police say he escorted 38-year-old Thomas Vinces outside. Investigators say Vinces pushed Armstrong and ran into the parking lot. Later, when Armstrong approached him again, Vinces pulled out a gun and shot Armstrong. The deputy constable died at the scene. Vinces was arrested that afternoon and is charged with capital murder of a peace officer.
I'm extremely angry to watch this and to watch this video of him being executed. He was executed by this man who knew he was a cop, knew he was a police officer, and he did it.
Court records show Vinces has an extensive criminal history dating back to 2005, with roughly 30 convictions in Williamson and Travis counties. Some of those charges include an assault of a family member, burglary of a home and vehicles, and drug possession.
It is a process that is heartbreaking, and everybody in this city. A police officer was killed in the city of Austin, in my city. And that's how we should feel about this. It is unacceptable. He was murdered, he was executed in that parking lot of that club.
And that was Brianna Perez reporting. Police also say an acquaintance of Vinces, Ronaldo Colindre Simon, tried to drive away after the shooting and ran over Armstrong's arm. He's charged with assault on a peace officer. A homicide investigation is underway at a downtown Austin hotel. Police got the call about an injured person at the Cambria on East Avenue Monday morning. Officers found a person with obvious signs of trauma on the 8th floor. That person died at the scene. No one is in custody right now, but police believe this was an isolated incident.
We're not going to release any information that might compromise the investigation and hinder our ability to render justice.
Police say they're talking to witnesses and reviewing surveillance video from the hotel. A Hays County court program that helps certain offenders get another shot at life is getting a boost. The Hays County Mental Health Court is getting a $10,000 grant so attorneys can help those offenders expunge their criminal records. Here's reporter Jessica Cha.
At the Hays County Government Building, inside courtroom 3.
Good morning. Good morning.
Is where second chances are given to some offenders struggling with mental health, like Elizabeth Stockdale.
Using drugs and committing crimes, and that's what I was doing. And I started to go to jail a lot.
Between 2013 and 2023, Stockdale says she was dealing with misdiagnosed bipolar and an unresolved personality disorder.
I stopped taking my medications, and that caused me to start drinking and using because I was trying to cope with the mental disorders that I have.
At the height of her addiction and depression, she was charged with the misdemeanor. And once out of jail, she was offered a spot in mental health court.
Many of these individuals have struggled with mental health for the majority of their lives. And this is an opportunity for them to get the help that they have often not had in the past.
Judge Elaine Brown has overseen the program since 2023. She says mental health problems and criminal activity often go hand in hand, but jail isn't always the solution.
If we don't address the mental health problems that people have, their mental illness continues and many times worsens. And so they have a revolving door then with the jail or with the hospitals, and that's not serving anyone.
Which is where the mental health court comes in. Over the course of up to 18 months, defendants meet with Judge Elaine, caseworkers, clinicians, attorneys in courtroom 3 to check in. And after all that, some will be able to have charges expunged from their records.
At first, and we'd all be kind of like, I don't want to be here. But then as time went on and the years passed, we were like, hey, it's good to see you. Like, hey, I'm glad you're here. And the conversation and the dialogue changed dramatically because we had been, taking care of ourselves, getting the help that we needed.
Stockdale just graduated from the program in December, changed for the better.
Get another chance to show that they are sorry, that they didn't mean that. It was their mental illnesses that were driving them to make, do behaviors that they wish they could take back.
And that was Jessica Cha reporting. So far, 36 people have graduated from the program with a 93% success rate. That means they've not run into trouble with the law again after leaving mental health court. Leaders with the city of Bee Cave say they've reached an agreement to settle controversial development plans for a new warehouse, bringing a potential end to a fight between developers and neighbors. The construction site is off Highway 71 at the West Austin Business Park near the Madrone Canyon neighborhood. Neighbors argue construction caused major noise, light, and environmental pollution near their homes. Under the new terms, Bee Cave leaders say the initial developers, Velocis and KBC, will sell the area to Cesium Astro, a space satellite company. The deal will cut down on the number of 18-wheeler trips to and from the development to alleviate noise and traffic. In a statement, Cesium Astro leaders told us nothing is finalized yet, but they continue to thoughtfully consider expansion options across several locations. Leaders with Velocis have yet to respond to our request for comment. Venezuela has one of the world's largest petroleum reserves. President Donald Trump says the whole infrastructure needs to be rebuilt, and he plans to use American companies to make that happen. But one expert we spoke with says those companies may not be interested. Here's reporter Daniel Perot.
Good night. Happy New Year.
After the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, there are growing questions about that country's future. Whatever it is, the oil industry will play a major role in shaping it.
We need total access. We need access to the oil and to other things in their country.
American companies have tapped that supply for decades, but since Venezuela nationalized its oil industry, output has plummeted.
The 500,000 barrels a day that Venezuela sends out to the global market is about 0.5% or less of the global oil market.
President Trump says American companies will be recruited to invest billions to refurbish the oil industry in the country.
It's heavy oil. It's rather physically difficult to get to market.
University of Houston energy fellow Ed Hurst says getting significant production back online won't be easy.
It's not turning on a tap. Rebuilding an industry that's been neglected for essentially 24 years is going to take time and a lot of money.
As for what it will mean for Texas, the largest oil-producing state in the U.S.,
nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Hurst says it won't change gas prices or lead to more drilling in the short term. Longer term, he says he doesn't see this as a financial windfall for U.S. oil and gas companies, who he says won't be jumping at the opportunity.
It's going to be difficult to get someone to really want to go down there and do this. We don't know what the rule of law is going to be.
On NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said it isn't about getting more oil. The U.S. has plenty.
What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States.
As President Trump pushes to get the oil flowing again, Hurst says U.S. companies will have to weigh whether the investment is worth the risk.
They're not going to do it unless they can see a path out for that money.
And that was Daniel Perot reporting. The only Texas oil company that still operates in Venezuela is Chevron. It produces about 150,000 barrels a day. We reached out to the company today to ask about its future operations in Venezuela. A spokesperson says Chevron is focused on the safety and well-being of employees and integrity of its assets. Those are the headlines happening in Austin. I'm Quita Culpepper.
Hi, I'm Leslie Adamy in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening in South Texas. As jury selection for the first criminal case tied to the Robb Elementary School shooting continues here in Corpus Christi, the rare decision to move the case here gave us an early indication of just how high profile and emotionally charged this trial would be. The legal questions that will ultimately go before a judge will be unlike anything the state has seen before. For the first time, jurors will be asked to decide whether a law enforcement officer's inaction during an active shooting situation can rise to the level of a criminal offense. We spoke with local legal experts about what makes this so challenging. One of them, former Nueces County District Attorney Carlos Valdez, who prosecuted one of the most high-profile cases in Texas history, the murder of Selena Quintanilla. Valdez says in cases with this level of public attention, the key question is whether potential jurors can set aside everything they've already seen and heard and decide the case based solely on what's presented in court.
It's not going to be easy for the prosecution. It all involves interpretation of the law and the acts involved. And all this is going to be difficult to convince 12 people of. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a hung jury in the case because things like this are very difficult to prove.
And those challenges will be on full display as the trial moves forward right here in Corpus Christi. And local Congressman Vicente Gonzalez has officially launched his re-election campaign, choosing Corpus Christi for the first time as his political map changes. As Ryan Hopper shows us, Texas's new congressional boundaries mean Gonzalez now represents the area, making the announcement a hometown first.
After December's Supreme Court ruling upholding Texas's new congressional map, South Texas Congressman Vicente Gonzalez is now vying to represent a revamped 34th District, now including his hometown of Corpus Christi and its Naval Air Station and Army Depot, where union leaders say hundreds of their members who repaired helicopters were laid off last year.
We need to continue to make major investments in the Naval Air Station here in Corpus and ensure we stop losing jobs and we bring new industry to this region, drone operation and IA, and other cutting-edge industries that we can bring to supplement the loss that we had with the helicopter industry leaving this base.
Gonzalez says he'll try to work bipartisanly on local projects like addressing the region's water shortages, as South Texas is represented by members of both major political parties. Former Congressman Filimon Vela, who represented parts of South Texas for a decade, says the relationships Gonzalez built in his decade on Capitol Hill could prove crucial in winning a gerrymandered seat that Republicans seek to flip.
You know, Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise from Louisiana, who are the leaders in the Republican side, are personal friends of Vicente's and mine. and Akeem Jeffries, Catherine Clark are close friends of ours as well. So having that sort of background and those sorts of relationships with the people that run the House can only help the people that Vicente will represent.
But no matter how his district looks on a map, Gonzalez says that his job remains largely the same.
At the end of the day, I think it's one community. When we worked in Washington for the last 10 years, people didn't ask if you were from McAllen or you're from Brownsville or you're from Kingsville or if you're from Corpus Christi. It was all considered one region, and we want to continue to work as a region.
Ryan Hopper reporting there. And that's a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Tia Johnson. Beaumont police have named a suspect in an assault on an IHOP employee Saturday morning. It happened at the East Tex Freeway location as the woman was headed into work. A warning, this video may be difficult to watch. 12 News was exclusively given this surveillance video from IHOP district manager. The woman walked up to the front doors when William Miller asked her for a cigarette, allegedly. When she told him she didn't have one, he hit her. Police say Miller was arrested Saturday night on an unrelated charge. We're told any formal charges related to the assault will be pursued through the Jefferson County DA's office. And Beaumont is fulfilling a state and federal mandate. It's part of an effort to learn more about water lines made with copper and lead. Officials confirmed 92 of the 100 samples so far are below the 90th percentile when it comes to meeting state and federal requirements. You can look at the findings through Texas Drinking Water Watch or the city's annual water quality report. Shaping young minds one lesson at a time. This month's Golden Apple Award recipient goes to Mary Broussard, a math interventionist at Little Cypress Intermediate.
And 12 has 110 and 2 ones, right?
Math isn't always easy.
I have kids who come back to me and say, you know, when I was in your class, I started hating math or thinking I couldn't do it. I was just horrible at math. It wasn't my thing.
3 to 15.
Let's do a 2.
But with Mary Broussard on your side, it starts to make sense.
And they thank me because they think I had a lot to do with it when they just needed confidence in themselves.
Broussard has been teaching for 23 years, 7 of them at Little Cypress Intermediate.
And they send me emails and they send me notes telling me I just aced my Algebra 1 test, or I just aced this, or I'm understanding everything this year.
Her dedication didn't go unnoticed. Fellow teacher Jamie Summers saw the extra time, patience, and heart she brings into the classroom and nominated Broussard for the Golden Apple Award.
Miss Broussard, how are you? You've been selected as a recipient of the 12 News Golden Apple Award. So we just wanted to present your award to you, and guess what? We have another special guest who showed up for this. So I know we caught you off guard, but how does it feel to know that someone nominated you for this?
Absolutely fantastic.
It is so long overdue for Mary to be recognized. She just does not ask for any recognition. She comes quietly every day and just does gold in her room, and no one knows.
And her son was also there to make it count.
First I was surprised, but in reality not too surprised at all. I feel like awards like this are long overdue for Mom.
Congratulations, Ms. Broussard. And those were the headlines from Southeast Texas.
Texas News Now is sponsored by Germania Insurance.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.